Hello, friends. My name is Jenny Disa, your host for this evening. I'm the senior manager at Aleph, a platform to promote the global perspective of education and career. This is a 104th Career Talk broadcasted live on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. Every Friday, we aim to bring in valuable speakers to discuss a topic that are important to you and for your career. For the benefit of our viewers, let me quickly introduce Aleph. Arif is an award-winning edtech company, counsel over 23,000 students. We are top 10 study abroad consultants by Knowledge Review. Through us, you have the option of 200 plus universities and 14 plus countries. We specialize in student scholarship and up till now distributed 23 crores scholarship to our students. So let's move on with our today's topic. Avoid student visa refusal. Top 10 tips. So for a change, I am the host and I am the speaker today. I'll be speaking on very crucial and important aspect of the entire student visa process. uh, my aim is to give student the idea about what are the important tips that they could take away from today's session in avoiding student visa rejection. We are in the industry for last 10 years and have uh, grown to learn about different aspect of student visa refusal, and hence I'm going to share my understanding uh, and advices that we receive from immigration and high commission regarding the same. So moving on with today's topic, if you may have any questions, you may please write in the comment box, and I may try and address them at the end of the session. So the student visa plays a very important role in your journey to start your career abroad. Of course, you may have an offer letter. Of course, you might be prepared, but if you do not receive your student visa in time or get a visa refusal, your entire journey comes on a halt. Or either you have to change your entire plans, what you've made with the preparation that you require for 6 months or 1 year that you've been looking forward to join. And therefore, I'm sure with today's tips that I'm going to share with you will help you avoid visa refusals. And student, if you are interested to process your application, get in touch with us, and we'll be happy to assist you with our expert counselors and team of visas. So moving on with today's topic, I have identified the major points that you should be taking care of when it comes to student visa refusal. So the tip number one: documentation. So, in terms of documentation, I mean, you may think about, oh, I just need to include my document of academics and work experiences and, my sponsor's document. But that's not the only aspect. I mean, you may have a straightforward requirement mentioned as a checkpoint, add your academic document, add your financial document, and your sponsor's document. But an explanatory document of your academics, of your sponsor's document has to be thoroughly and in detail put into, not just briefly. I mean, suppose if I'm asking your academic document, entire document right from your 10th grade till the highest qualification needs to be included. A clear copies of your document has to be, included, just not, partially xeroxed, or incomplete document. If you have graduated in the previous years, your degree convocation and similar document. So just not superficial document, but all document in order of the requirement by the immigration has to be included. In fact, more that is required, that could give a better idea of your complete profile, be it yourself or your sponsor needs to be included. So this is my first tip, to do not miss any documentation related to your entire journey of being a student here back home in India and your sponsors for the funding. Moving on to my second tip today, visa forms. So this is the this is the first step of starting to apply for your visa. Okay, now you have, with different countries you may have different forms of visa application. some are, paper based document of visa, some are online visa forms. So you have to make sure you fill all the required visa forms thoroughly and truly. That's very important, thoroughly and truly. So in terms of information, you need not hide any information in your visa form. It should match with what is mentioned in your document, and it should not be contradictory. Suppose if you've traveled, to different places for a certain reason, and there's a question about your travel history that needs to be detailed and truly mentioned. If you avoid it, that can be taken as, a hidden information, or information not disclosed. And such information should be disclosed, else it's not in your favor. So filling up the visa form thoroughly and truly, okay, matching what document you are submitting, that's very important. So this is my second tip: thoroughly filling up the visa form, okay, without any errors, is of course a sure shot, step to getting your visa through. My next tip for you today is in the form of finance. Of course, you've put in your hard efforts to get your offer. Of course, kudos, because you had a good background, you worked hard to get your royalty scores in place. At the same time, funding plays a very important role in helping you get your visa. Okay. uh, Funding as per the requirement of the country. So in terms of finances, you have two aspects to fund. One is your tuition that you pay to the university for the entire 1 year, and you have your living expenses that you need to show. Now, living expenses are the predefined amount by certain immigration, uh, depending from country to country, and ranges, as per the country. Locally, what are the expenses that they may expect you to have when you're spending your time while you're studying? So that can range from 6 lakhs to 15 lakh from country to country. For example, if you go to the UK, you have a requirement of 12,006 pound, to survive within London, and lesser if you're spending your time outside London. So this predefined fund needs to be shown for visa, and it's one of the mandatory requirement. If you do not fulfill that requirement, you're definitely sure shot inviting a visa refusal for yourself. And hence, this is my uh, third tip for yourself in terms of getting your visa approved. Moving on to my next tip: sponsors. Now, the definition of sponsor here would remain, who is funding you for your education. Rightly, it's your parents as the first sponsor. In some cases, there are grandparents who fund you, and in very lesser cases, there are siblings also. However, certain countries have a requirement who could be your major sponsors, and hence you need to follow that. Um, in few cases, they also allow that your maternal or paternal uncles and auntie can sponsor you, but that may not be the case in all countries. And hence, you need to be very much aware who could be your sponsor when you're applying for visa. Yeah. For example, in case of UK, uh, it could only be your parents or yourself that you can show your living funds in the account of. Mainly, your parents being your sponsor. If you try, and show your uncles or sibling as a sponsor, you're sure to get a refusal. And hence, audience, student and viewers, this is one of the important aspect of your student visa. So every country have a different requirement. Get in touch with us to know more about these if you need further assistance for visa application. Moving on to my next point, for a tip: visa interview. Now to my Yeah, sorry. So, moving on to my next thing, visa interview. Now, visa interview is one of the crucial aspect of your entire visa process. Not all countries require you to face a visa interview, but yes, there are many good number of countries who expect you to attend a visa interview, like USA. Your visa depends on your interview with the visa officer. With New Zealand, you have a telephonic interview with the immigration who calls you and talk to you about the university. So visa interview uh, is with an expectation that the visa officer assess you on your genuinity, okay, of you being a student who's well aware of where he's going, and hence a thorough preparation is needed. If you're not prepared and you face the interview, you're sure to represent yourself not enough prepared, you know of being the student who wish to go to this particular university. And there are certain questions that you need to prepare yourself for, in terms of your career goals, why you're choosing this particular university, what are your future plans. And there are certain ways you answer these questions, and therefore visa interview plays a very important aspect in your entire visa journey. And I'm sure student may have different information on how to answer this, but an expert advice definitely make a difference, and hence we offer this personalized support to each and every student of ours, uh, to prepare them how to face the interview, how well they could present themselves in front of the visa officer, that gives them an opportunity to grant their visa. So this is my very important tip, which definitely will help you in your journey, being well prepared for your visa interview. Do not make a mistake of facing an interview without being even less prepared. So this is my advice to all my student audience here. Moving on to my next tip, statement of purpose. Now, statement of purpose is a letter, uh, is also so called a motivational letter, a letter of intent. All these belong to one term, statement of purpose. Now, in certain countries, you may not face a visa interview, but definitely, statement of purpose is a letter that represents you, okay, along with your documents about your intention to study in that particular country, what are your career goals, and why you are the genuine student to come and study in that country. So statement of purpose is the heart of your visa application, and therefore it needs to be very well written, presenting very clear goals and crisp information on what your future plans are. And if it is not meeting the requirement, I'm sure it definitely doesn't give the right message to the visa officer to help them grant your visa. And therefore, this is my highlighted point, whereby you definitely need to work on this aspect of getting your visa um, granted. And we offer a personalized and expert content writing and visa support. You can please get in touch with us for the same. My next point, for my next tip for the student would be academic and career progression. So a lot of students come with a particular background. Of course, if you're a fresher, just graduated or just 12 pass, you need to be very sure of the progression that you wish to aim out of the study abroad plan. Uh, I mean, for example, if you're a mechanical engineer and now you choose to do something into education, that's very different, unless you're very sure why you wish to do that. So your career progression has to be clearly, supporting your future, the past study that you have done, or the professional journey that you had, if you're an experienced candidate who worked or who have certain years of work experience. So it has to be progressing. I mean, One more example could be if you've done a bachelor course and you're going for some certificate course which is lower than what you have already studied, is not a great progression to showcase to the officer, for the reason it doesn't add value. If it's not a course that is progressing, it doesn't show a value and worth on you going and pursuing that course. So the officer may believe that it's not worth for you to go and study the course, and hence they may refuse your visa. So be very careful in terms of what course you're choosing, and it has a clarity and a proper intention on why you're choosing the course. Yeah. So this is the next very important tip that you need to focus on to. Moving on to my next tip, uh, study gaps. So a lot of students come, you know with not a very straightforward academic progression. Some may have genuine academics gaps or failures, or drops in their academics. However, if you have so, you need to explain them with reasons why there were gaps, and you need to be true, in terms of if you had difficulties or the purpose of gaps. Okay, that needs to be very well explained. If you leave those gaps without being explained, that doesn't show or reflect, uh, or give a clear message to the visa officer or the immigration office of you having those gaps. It may also reflect your non-seriousness about your academics, if there have been backlogs. So a proper explanation can be done in your statement of purpose if you have certain gaps in your academic or your career, but this needs to be explained very much. And therefore, this is my very important tip for you guys. If you have such gap, please put it across in your SOP in a very genuine and truly form. Moving on to my next tip, ties back home. So, of course, now that you've, done your documentation well, you have, your funds in place, you have a clear career progression, the embassy also expect that you are coming to that country to study, gain an experience, a quality of exposure different from your home country, but ultimately you are there to return back home. And hence a clear ties back home plays very important reflection of your entire student visa. That definitely can be explained in your statement of purpose, that can also be explained to the sponsors that you're showing as your parent, and also in terms of reasoning that you have a base here. And this is a very important explanation that needs to be reflected in your entire visa file when you process your visa application. So this is one of the important aspects that you need to consider when you apply for your visa. My last but not the last my last point here, but not, of course, the last one, English language requirement. Very important point, students often miss on this. They believe that English visa requirement is only a requirement for admission, but that may not be the case. Yeah. Certain embassies expect that you should have the basic requirement, that are required to be met when you apply for admissions abroad. uh, and hence English language requirement like IELTS, TOEFL are not, a very difficult examination, and can be fulfilled by almost every student when they're looking at studying abroad. In fact, when you plan to study abroad, one of the good ranking universities, do not have very high expectation. Even an average student with 75, 80% can get into good universities. And hence, meeting the English language requirement or even avoiding it is not a great gesture. you know, to get through your admission, or even making this requirement as a part of your entire visa application. And hence, meeting or appearing for such test also adds up to your genuinity of your entire portfolio when you prepare your visa file. So this is the last advice, irrespective of, you know, the country may require not, but embassy do consider this one of the aspect of you when you apply for your visa. And hence this is the last point that you know, we may suggest as the point that you should consider as a tip to avoid student visa refusal. So, summarizing the entire points, I'm sure you might have received the highlights of what are the aspects that you need to consider when you apply for student visa requirement. Uh, Although this is brief, if you have certain questions in terms of the country that you're applying to, of course there are, and wanting to process your visa application or even start your admission process for the next intake, do get in touch with us and we are here to assist you. So, with this, I end the session for today. Thank you so much, and I look forward to meeting you the eventual Friday with some amazing speaker and some information. Thank you so much.